What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Super Lunch Bros podcast, episode number 45. I am Brendan.
And I'm Nate.
We're both back again. This is so nice.
I know, we made it.
It's like real life comes, like you have like actual responsibility, unlike me, which seems backwards, but
Yeah, only a little bit.
All right, so this past weekend we had UFC Rozenstruik versus Gane. I was pronouncing it incorrect when I did the preview. I called him Cyril Gane, but it's just Gane. He is French. What do you think of the fight? Oh, first of all, Gane got got the decision 50-45 on all three judges' scorecards. So what do you think of the fight?
So I watched a recap of it because I didn't see it live. And I don't know. I mean, I know some people reporting it as boring, but like a heavyweight decision is usually not going to be as electrifying as a, flyweight decision.
Almost never.
Yeah. I didn't think it was necessarily boring. I just thought like, all right, yeah, this is what happens when you have a fighter that's hunting for a big knockout and another fighter trying to outpoint him, and got it done.
Yeah, so they're very tentative to engage, especially in the first round, but that continued like throughout the entire fight. Gane, God dang it, man. I'm going to keep doing that. Gane was much sharper in his striking. He looked a lot more polished on the feet, like as far as like MMA striking goes. He was able to dart in and dart out, whereas Rozenstruik was having trouble finding range, taking big swings. He was even getting out grappled when Gane moved in. And this is very similar to what happened with Alistair Overeem, but he caught Alistair in the last 10 seconds of that fight, and that's why he got the decision. So this whole thing that Rozenstruik is this like world beater, he's not. I mean, he can give people some problems. He does have a lot of kickboxing experience, but watching that fight, I was wondering who he kickboxed.
I wonder what heavyweight kickboxing, like modern day heavyweight kickboxing competition actually looks like.
Well, there's a couple that are really good, especially like Rico Verhoeven. Like I've watched him fight, and like against Badr Hari, I've watched their fight. He's really good. I don't watch a lot of kickboxing because it's one of those things where it's not regularly scheduled. I'd have to keep up with it, and it's not that I'm not interested. I think it's cool and all. It's just another thing I'd have to pay attention to, and there's so much MMA that I just don't have time.
I barely keep up with regular MMA as it is.
Yeah, so Gane looked really good. There were echoes of the first or the Ngannou versus Derek Lewis fight in this one, with not a lot of action, people disappointed, and nobody really taking a chance. If anything, Gane did. He pressured forward. He was the one who engaged more. So coming up next, I'd like to see him fight Derek Lewis probably. He was
That'd
ranked.
Be interesting.
He was ranked number 7 before this, and Jairzinho was ranked 5, I believe. I can just pull it up. I'm pretty sure Jairzinho was ranked number 5. Oh, he was ranked number 4. Sorry. So, yeah, Volkov's 5. So Gane's probably going to move up to 5. Volkov's probably going to move up to 4. Then you got Blades, Lewis, and Ngannou, and then Stipe. So Blades just lost to Derek Lewis, and I think him fighting Rozenstruik makes sense.
Yeah, if I had to pick, that'd probably be a good matchup.
That's a tough matchup too, because Rozenstruik, despite losing this fight and not looking as impressive as I think people say he does, he still can hit very hard, obviously, and Blades just does not have that kind of chin. So if he catches Blades, that could be the end of that night. And then I'd like to see Gane versus Lewis, because Ngannou's not fighting Derek Lewis again. Ngannou's fighting for the title. John Jones isn't coming up to fight Derek Lewis. He's going to fight for the title or nothing. Volkov already fought Lewis, so I don't think they're going to run that back right now. And then Overeem's coming off of a loss.
I was going to say either that or Gane versus Volkov.
Yeah, but then you leave then who's Lewis fighting? Derek Lewis, he just fought. He's not. He would have to wait not just for one. Like he's now in the same position that Curtis Blaydes was in, where he's not just waiting for one fight to happen for him to get an opportunity at heavyweight for the title. He's now waiting for Ngannou versus Stipe, the possible rematch if Ngannou wins. So that's a couple months for them to fight to begin with, plus at least another 3 months for them to fight again, if not more. So let's call it 3 and be on the safe side, right? So right now we're at like 6 months. Let's just call it 6 months before the second fight starts, and then you have to wait at least 3 months after that. Plus, when John Jones comes up, he's getting a title shot. So that's another 3 months on top of that, plus 3 months of recovery. We're talking about a year and a half or 2 years, maybe.
What about Lewis versus Overeem?
Yeah, that hasn't happened yet, and if he wants to stay warm, I know Overeem's coming off of a loss, but they have not fought yet. That would be interesting.
And it's heavyweight. Even though Overeem's coming off a loss,
he's coming off a loss to Volkov after 3 straight wins.
Yeah, so
2 straight wins.
2 straight wins and the Rozenstruik
crappy loss. Yeah, he should have had 4 or 5 in a row.
Yeah. So I wouldn't mind seeing that. I don't think Lewis has done enough to show that he should be getting an immediate title shot after the Curtis Blaydes fight.
He's not. The thing is, he's not going to get a title shot even if he did. Curtis Blaydes deserves a title shot.
So at the very least, Overeem, it's a good test for him. It's it's going to be a stand-up fight.
So if Overeem takes Lewis, Volkov versus Gane, Rozenstruik versus Blaydes. Oh yeah, everybody's matched up then.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
and then
fine.
I wouldn't mind seeing Overeem fight. If Overeem beats Lewis, he could fight the winner of Volkov versus Gane.
That's a rough fight for Overeem, but he's the kind of guy who could do it by picking him apart. So the thing is, I see Gane having a very, a very obvious path to victory against Derek Lewis, and that's just leg kicks. I mentioned it last week, but if you look at the way his knees bow in, if you attack his legs, they're going to collapse out from underneath him. And every time Curtis threw a leg kick, you could see him cave in, and Lewis almost goes off balance, and that's when he does those big sweeping punches. It's and then I saw someone comment on that and saying oh, why didn't he just sit outside and attack the legs? And then to that, one of the UFC fighters oh, you think it's that easy? Derek Lewis is just that good. No, he's not. The game plan wasn't to pick him apart from the outside. It was to get in and take him down. So he went with his game plan, and that's what cost him, instead of adjusting to what I would say is an easier path to victory when the guy is just on the back foot, standing still.
Yeah.
And you can just pick his legs apart and make him fall down like a freaking tree. I would just go with that.
Yeah, if Curtis Blaydes had stuck it out at the stand-up game, he could have come out of that on top.
Yeah, he looked sharper on the feet. Yeah. He looked like he was in complete control, and it went downhill when he went in for his first takedown attempt. So anyway.
Yeah.
So one other thing about this fight that annoyed the crap out of me, Rozenstruik, was he kept calling his own fouls, which I know fighters do, but the way he did it, he was talking to Gane, and he'd be oh, low blow. And then he'll be eye poke. And it's oh, low blow. And then Herb would kind of step in, and then he'd be oh, we're good. Rozenstruik would be okay, I'm good. Well, if you're good, then don't mention it.
Yeah, because it's just interrupting the flow of the fight.
Yeah, either it happened and you would like to stop the fight, or you're just I think at part of that, some of those were clean shots too, because Herb even said no, continue, that was not a low blow. So it kind of drove me nuts watching that, because it's almost like cheating the opposite way, being hey, you poked me in the eye, never mind, continue. Hey, you kicked me in the nuts, never mind, continue.
Yeah, it's a disruption of the flow of the fight.
Yeah.
When you
and,
don't
like,
feel like it's going your way.
I don't think he was doing it on purpose.
I don't know. After a certain point, it does add up, though.
Yeah, after like the 10th time he did it.
Yeah. Like, you either got to do a stop, allow for, some level of video review or people to look back. Because ultimately what he didn't want was, oh, hey, look, he's done this 3 times, and every time they review it, nothing happened. Versus him kind of getting away with interrupting the flow, more than 3 times.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's whether or not it's cheating, it's shitty.
Yeah, it's annoying to watch.
Yeah.
So, in the co-main event, there's 2 things I want to talk about. Like, we can talk about them simultaneously, but so it was Krylov versus Nikita Krylov versus I don't even know, Ankalaev. I don't remember his first. Oh, Magomed Ankalaev. So Ankalaev got the win. Krylov looked really sharp. Ankalaev just looked. I don't know. He hits harder, and he's a Dagestani dude. He fights kind of like it, but he's not as heavy as a grappler. He's obviously not just a bigger Khabib. He's just like a bigger guy, like a big dude. And Krylov was darting in and out. It just wasn't enough to get it done. So something that happened in this fight, in the first round, Krylov was going for a takedown, and Ankalaev grabbed the fence, right? And then they got back kind of up, and then he grabbed the fence again, and then Krylov took him down. So he got warned, but there was no point deduction. Now we could talk more about that fight, but I don't think it was that interesting.
Yeah.
Let's go to the fight before, which also wasn't that interesting of a fight, but Montana De La Rosa versus Maria Buenasilva. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying is there in the first round, Buenasilva grabbed the fence, and Jared Valal immediately took a point away.
Mm-hmm.
And then the very next fight, the dude grabbed the fence twice, no point deduction, just a warning, a soft warning.
Yeah.
What the hell is going on? It's like it's
on the same card too. I didn't even catch that. That's fine.
They were back-to-back fights.
I didn't catch.
So like
interesting.
Buenasilva goes to grab the fence and to prevent a takedown, and then Jared Valal stops the fight, deducts a point from Buenasilva in the first round, and that's what led to the draw. Was that point deduction? It was an okay fight. It was. Buenasilva kind of.
Should a fence grab be an automatic point deduction? Without. Should it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you know why?
Because
there's no accident. There's no accidental fence grab.
Yeah,
you can accidentally poke someone in the eye. You can accidentally kick someone in the nuts. You could accidentally hit someone in the back of the head. You could even accidentally knee a ground opponent to the head. If they're falling and their knee hits as your knee comes up, it's very close. Again, not intentional, accidental, or grabbing the top of the fence.
Yeah, because it's not you interacting with something that's in motion to where, interacting with another human being to where you can't control what they're doing.
Exactly.
There's the potential for accident, but you interacting with your environment, which is stagnant, exactly what it is. You know exactly how it's designed. You know the specifications. You doing something cheating with your environment, there's no excuse for it. You just got to do an accidental.
Yeah.
And then I can see how maybe there's a level of instinct for someone to grab onto the fence.
So what?
But if they know ahead of time that this is an automatic point deduction, people are actually going to call it out in training and be.
I would hope so.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It might be instinctual to kick a guy in the head while he's down, but you train not to do that because it's not allowed in this, with the rule set in the United States for the most part. So if it becomes part of the rule set, because we've talked about this a lot, but eye pokes, fouls or incidental fouls, it's hard to control, and it's very difficult to penalize properly without over penalizing, and then trying to gauge on the fly intent versus
was it accident or malicious?
Well, intent versus the effect of the illegal strike. Was it a glancing blow that did nothing? Was it a glancing
Mitrione eye out of it?
Yeah, that gouged your eye out. So with fence grabs, I'd be totally okay with it immediately taking a point away, because there's only one reason you grab the fence, and it's to take advantage of the
give yourself a better position in the fight.
Exactly. It's to not have the position change to a disadvantageous position for you. What you're trying to do is keep yourself on your feet. Now, I will admit, like you already alluded to, that it is instinctual for a human being not to want to fall onto the ground. Therefore, you will reach out or put your arms out in a way, and sometimes you might grab the fence. Okay? But that doesn't change what you just did.
Yeah.
And then, on top of that, you could make a clear distinction between toes in the fence and fingers in the fence. And fingers in the cage, right? Because toes in the cage are the same, they fall under the same rule set as grabbing the cage with your hands. Okay? Mm-hmm. But I would argue that toes in the cage have less control, because usually it involves someone on top of you moving your legs. Like, you are trying to move your leg around their body, and in doing so, like, maybe your foot flares out to the right or left, and then your toes enter the cage, right? So now you're interacting with another person in a way that, like, it was not on purpose. Plus, toes aren't as tactile.
Someone can accidentally put your toes in the cage. There's very few situations where someone is putting your fingers in the cage.
Oh, no, that's what I'm saying.
That's
no one is grabbing your hand and shoving it into the cage. You are actively grabbing the cage to stop yourself from being taken down, being reversed, whatever it might be. Or to being, if you're the one pressuring someone and their back is to the cage, if you're holding on to the cage, you're essentially just like locking them in like a vice.
Yeah.
That's not fair.
It should just be an automatic point, even if that.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. Yeah. I would rather have that, and that's why I was surprised, because Jared Villal, I bring this up a lot, but he was the one who screwed up that made one of the worst referee decisions I've ever seen by stopping a fight where the guy was like his hand was down like on the mat, like he was in a guillotine. It was not a guillotine, because he was completely off to the wrong side. So like, if you have someone in a guillotine with your right arm, mm-hmm. and their body is off to your left side, they're sitting across your body, there's no choke there. In fact, that's how you get Von Flue choked. Like, if you're the one trying to do the guillotine, you're going to get submitted if you keep holding on to that. You got to let it go, right? So there's no submission there. Well, Jared Villal like looked at him for like 5 seconds and then like stopped the fight. And the guy was like, "What the heck are you doing?" And I've also said in the past that he has gotten a lot better. I've seen him make a lot of really good decisions. I've seen the way he judges fights or refs fights, and he's doing a much better job. This is another time where I agree with him. I think he's doing an excellent job. He's not as boisterous. He doesn't have a popular Twitter account like Mark Goddard or not Josh Rosenthal, but Mike McCarthy, Herb Dean. Like, he's not as popular as these guys, and he's newer to the UFC, but I think he's gotten a lot better and he's doing a really good job. And I think if more referees are willing to just do what he's doing in this specific example, like where they're like, that's the rule. Yeah. You broke the rule. I'm taking a point. That's the end of it. Like, you can't, what are you going to do? Fight me on it? Like, if after one eye poke, you took a point, you can't complain about it. As long as every following eye poke got penalized the same way, right? So if I eye poke you, I get a point deducted. And then if you eye poke me, you get a point deducted. If it's every single time, I would almost rather have that because like instead of waiting for like 4 warnings, it's just like every time there's an illegal strike, point deduction. And then like if there's an illegal strike on the other side, point deduction. I mean, then you get into it like where you really do need to like have video evidence, like you have to go back and prove them because you're gonna end up with floppers like we had in like the NBA and people complaining and then being like, oh well, he got the point because he's doubled over in pain because you kicked him in the nuts, and then you go back and it's like kicked him in the toe, like that's so probably my fight of the night was Pedro Munoz versus Jimmy Rivera. Pedro Munoz was really attacking the lead leg of Jimmy, and he did a ton of damage in the first round, more damage to it in the second round, and by the third round, Jimmy could barely move. Jimmy Rivera was still going forward and still trying to attack him. The first round was very close. I leaned towards Jimmy Rivera, but it was really close. I wasn't mad at the judge's decision of giving it 30-27 to Munoz. Munoz looks really, 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 really good, and like I think he after that. So that he's currently ranked number 8. I think he could move up, possibly fight like Marlon Moraes at 6, or even Jose Aldo number 5. Cody Garbrandt is not a bantamweight anymore, so I don't know why he's still in the rankings. Oh wait, hold on. Is he fighting a bantamweight? Oh, maybe he. No, I think he's still fighting. Cody Garbrandt's at 4. So Pedro Munoz is somehow behind Cody Garbrandt. Whatever. Anyway, and Jimmy Rivera might drop down just a little bit. He can fight. I wouldn't mind seeing him fight like Rafael Sunsao or Dominic Cruz. But Pedro Munoz is a really tough test. He hits hard. He's very quick. I mean, he's a freaking flyweight, so that's kind of everyone there. Oh, that's why, because he had that bad split decision loss to Frankie Edgar. That's why. Okay.
And the loss before that.
So. Well, Aljamain Sterling, that was a, that's Aljo. He should be the champ right now, but somehow Peter Yan got the fight against Jose Aldo for the title. Whatever. Yeah, Brett Johns, Brian Caraway, Cody Garbrandt knockout, and then he lost to Aljo. Lost a weird split decision to Frankie Edgar, and then just beat Jimmy Rivera. So he should hop back up there. I wouldn't mind seeing him fight.
We talk about how Aljamain Sterling beat Jimmy Rivera, Pedro Munoz, and then Corey Sandhagen. His last 3 fights.
Really
like, I don't understand how he's not.
But he also got knocked out by Marlon Moraes.
Yeah, like 5 fights ago.
I know. Yeah, no, he should have been. He should have fought for the title already. We've been over this. It should have been him versus Peter Yan for the title, not Jose Aldo. That was garbage.
I think that is coming up though sometime in March.
It is. Yeah, they're supposed to be fighting. Because this. Oh, we can get to those in a second. Let's see. Pedro. That was my fight of the night. It was super fun to watch. Lots of action, good back and forth. Caceres versus Croom. Croom is famous for being part of Justin Gaethje's highlight reel. He put an armbar on Justin Gaethje, and Gaethje slammed him on his head and knocked him out. That was Gaethje's first professional fight. Caceres looks fun as ever, as fun as usual.
Yeah. I always love watching him fight.
Yeah. He looked a little bit more versatile in this fight. Pretty good at preventing the takedowns. He was attacking off his back pretty well. He's rounding out as a fighter, even though he's not the youngest guy. I think that's fun to watch. And then, the only fight. Oh, there's actually 2 fights. Alexis Davis getting the win versus Sabina Mazo. Like Alexis Davis still doing the damn thing. She's 20-10. As a female in MMA, that means she's been fighting a very long time.
Oh yeah.
So she got the win. She looked good. Did pretty much whatever she wanted. And then the main event on the prelims was Alex Hernandez versus Thiago Moyes. Alexander Hernandez looks so good. He's fast. He hits hard. But I don't know. I don't think he has a thing.
Like that defining characteristic that you can kind of point to is like here.
Yeah, and I think
here's
it kills
how he wins.
Because he never adjusted his game plan. Because Moises was just as fast as him, hit just as hard, if not harder, and was getting the better of the exchanges. Not in that he was throwing more strikes. It would just he would land one more, right? Or he would block all of the shots and land one counter or two counters.
Clean one, yeah.
Yeah, so, and Hernandez it didn't seem like he adjusted to the fight very well. He just stuck with the game plan that wasn't working. And I don't know. He was like a highly touted prospect, and he's kind of on the downside right now, which stinks because like it was a really even fight for the first 2 rounds, but I thought he clearly lost them. But it was very close, those first 2 rounds. I think that's it for this card. Some other. All right, so we have UFC 259 coming.
Yes, the fight's coming up.
Which is one of the biggest fight cards. It'll probably be one of the biggest fight cards of this entire year, and it's only March. Which is crazy to me.
Yep.
So, I mean, I don't know what the technical... I know what the technical headliner is, but... Well...
Choose your headliner, because it depends on what you're coming in for.
So, what I'm looking at is probably just I think the bantamweight fight is the one I'm looking the most forward to, because I think that means more to me.
Hey, that is more. I think that is a little bit more implication on the divisions, because I think that's also the most competitive fight of the championship fights.
Yeah, I think that there's more. There's more to it because like these guys have been working in their division and they're fighting in their division. So I'm not trying to say that the main event of Jan Blackwood versus Israel Adesanya isn't an important fight for both of their divisions. It's just.
Well, Jan's a newly crowned champ.
Yeah.
I mean, I know Peter Jan isn't, but Jan's newly crowned. Izzy doesn't really have anything to lose in this fight. He either loses outside of his division.
Which Jan?
So,
Jan with a Y or Jan with a J?
J Jan. He's newly crowned. Izzy doesn't have anything to lose, and he's not really like trying to. He's not making like a John Jones jump up a division. He's just basically testing the waters to see.
Yeah, and he gets to test the waters for a belt.
Yeah, and then Nunes versus Megan Anderson. I just don't think that's as competitive of a fight as Peter versus Aljamain.
No one's going to argue that.
Yeah, so I think Peter versus Aljamain is a more interesting, more competitive, and has a little bit more ramifications for the division.
Yeah, so as far as the main event goes, we can just run down the line. So the main event is, like we said, Jan Blachowicz versus Israel Adesanya. Israel is coming up from middleweight to fight for the light heavyweight belt. So, as Nate said, Israel is really risking nothing but his undefeated record. That's all he's risking right now. And in MMA, that kind of means nothing.
Yeah.
Like, being undefeated versus having one loss on your record, especially if the situation is, you went up to fight for the belt a weight class above your regular weight class, I don't think anybody's going to care. And if he does, the thing is, if he does win, now he can choose if he wants to keep the light heavyweight belt or vacate it or keep both. And he can't defend both. He just can't. So
I don't think he has much of an interest in keeping the light heavyweight. I would be surprised if he tried to make a run through more light heavyweights after he fights Jan.
I mean, I don't know.
And other than John Jones, pretty much that would be the only.
Yeah, but John moved up to heavyweight now. It's so. So the way I look at this is we have Jan Blachowicz, who is hard hitting, big for the division. You know, he's got
he's not slow. Like
he's got a great chin.
He's not a slow lumbering like fighter in terms of his start. Like he's crisp. He throws.
He's got good cardio, decent grappling, and he's tough as nails. And he doesn't really like back up that much. Like he will as he needs to in the fight. But I don't think we're definitely not going to get a Yoel Romero situation where they both stand there and look at each other. And I don't think we're going to get a Paulo Costa situation where, you know, Jan says, "Oh, I broke my foot 3 weeks ago," or "I was on medication because I have some sort of disease." I don't know. Whatever Costa's excuses were, I don't think we're going to get that either. I don't think we're going to get that kind of fight where one guy just, you know, doesn't want to try and do anything. So,
honestly, this is probably for Izzy going to be something closer to fighting a larger Kevin Gastelum, but with better cardio.
Yeah, and I just don't know how
that's kind of what Jan reminds me of. Like it's a larger Kevin Gastelum, but with better cardio and maybe a little more power fighting at light heavyweight.
Like I have no idea how this fight's gonna go. I have no idea. I think Izzy's best chance at winning is probably by point fighting, taking his opportunity. Obviously, if he does catch Jan, he could probably put him out. You know,
either that or, I mean, calf and leg kicks.
Like that's what I'm saying.
If he's able to wear him down for a couple rounds, he might be able to slow him down to where you can land a high volume, and maybe get a TKO.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is like he could, if he point fights smart, and he's coming from, I say this all the time, City Kickboxing is one of the best game planning gyms in the world. They do a really good job with game planning, you know, and they've got Izzy, who is, you know, a phenomenal striker and a great MMA
fighter. Combination of one of the best talents in UFC history with some of the best game planning in UFC history.
Yeah, and we've seen that over and over again with everybody he's fought. I don't think anybody has. I think the closest. Well, yeah, I mean, Kelvin Gastelum came close, and then there was a weird split decision with Marvin Vettori. I still want to see that again, but I'm leaning. I think the safe pick for me is leaning towards Jan. But it's really close. I'm interested in watching it, and I think this fight means nothing.
I think this is a hard fight to pick in general, just because of the nature of it. I mean,
we've also never seen Izzy at 205.
The weight and size difference. It doesn't sound like Izzy's gonna try and put on any. Like it sounds like he wants to basically keep. Well, it was sounding like Izzy's still basically going to cut for it. Like he wanted to keep his same conditioning that he would have.
You're not allowed to do that. He would have to cut down to 187 pounds.
Yeah. Oh, no, I wasn't meaning he was going to cut down to 185. But essentially, it sounded like he wasn't going to come into this without having gone through most of the same type of conditioning that he does.
I don't know what the rule is as far as fighting up a weight class. Yeah. Because I know at 205, well, here's the thing. At heavyweight, you can weigh 206 pounds and fight at heavyweight.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you weigh 206, you're good. So I think the same applies to like other.
From what I heard, Izzy has the intention of going into this the same way you go into a middleweight fight, because he wants to maintain the same, basically his comfort with how he fights.
I think that's smart.
Yeah.
Why try to change everything up for one fight?
So he might be coming in at 186, basically.
That'd be fine.
Yeah.
Well, Actually, no, 186 would be good because you do not get the 1 pound. I actually don't know how that would work. Is because 186 is technically middleweight in everything but a title fight.
Well,
But
maybe
this
187.
well, what I'm saying is like this is not a middleweight title fight. So do the rules apply? Like, does 186 mean that you are technically overweight for the middleweight the middleweight belt, so you can now fight for the light heavyweight belt? Or does it apply like, you're technically within the limits for a middleweight fight, therefore you cannot fight for the light heavyweight belt?
I'm actually going to look this up. This
is so stupid.
All right, so there's a minimum. The minimum weight for light heavyweight is 185. So he could actually come in at 185.
I'll forget everything I said then. That's fine. I still think my scenario is funnier.
Yeah. So he might come in somewhere between 185 and 187 because he doesn't necessarily have to do a hard cut, but he wants.
He might come in at like 190 or something. Like but
it probably all the conditioning without the actual cut.
The water cut.
Yeah.
He might not do the water cut.
Yeah.
So. It'll be fun to watch. I'm excited to see it. That's this Saturday, right? Yes, it is. Super excited. All right. Co-main event.
All right. This won't be long.
I disagree that this is the co-main event.
Yes.
Wholeheartedly. I agree that Amanda
yes
Nunes.
And no.
Hold on.
You make your argument, and then I'm gonna make mine.
I get that Amanda Nunes is like they call her the greatest of all time and blah 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 blah. That's fine, and she might be. This is not women's bantamweight, where she is actually like where there is actual division. Okay. This is not women's bantamweight, where she made her name as the greatest of all time. This is at featherweight, a weight class up, where if you go right now, if you search UFC rankings and then scroll down, I will do it right now with you guys. Scroll down to women's featherweight. You will see Amanda Nunes, champion, and then no names underneath because there is no featherweight division for women. There is no female featherweight division. There is none. There's Amanda Nunes and people who might fight her for a title fight, just so they can get more title fights in. I don't think she doesn't sell, right? And yes, it could be on the part of the UFC not marketing her. You've brought that up before. I agree with you. And Megan Anderson has become very popular with gamers. Like, she started gaming, and she's much more popular. So this will get her name a little bit more out there. All of this being said, the next fight on the list means more. I would argue has a more even and better better overall skill set fight, also for a title. So it's not like I'm trying to argue that a non-title fight should be billed above a title fight. It's also for a title, and it's also for a division that actually exists and is extremely competitive. In fact, it's one of the best divisions in the UFC. Now, if you are going strictly by the old school rules that the main event is always, like, if you have 3 title fights, the heaviest weight class is the main event, second heaviest is the second, and then last is your lightest weight class, then fine, so be it. That's how this is laid out. But Petr Yan versus Aljamain Sterling, like, I'll be damned if someone can argue with me and tell me that is not a more compelling fight, more interesting fight than Amanda Nunes versus Megan Anderson, which we still have to break down, but I'll let you get to your thing.
Okay. I'm gonna make the argument to why it should be the co-main event, and then I'm gonna make another argument as to why it should be moved off this card. All right. For one, Amanda Nunes is owed it by the UFC. Like, you can't dispute the fact that you are all right.
Fine.
No one's disputing the top of it. All right, you got the light heavyweight, and then one of the best middleweights of all time.
It's a double champ.
It's a double champ fight. Yeah. Double champ is going to take priority. Amanda Nunes, I disagree that she's the greatest UFC champion of all time, but she is one of the most dominant UFC champions of all time.
Uh-huh.
And, like it or not, if you throw John Jones on a card, even against one of the fights that we would have gone, all right, whatever, it's still going to surpass fights that have more importance and more significance for their division. So her credentials, her record, her dominance in the UFC as a champion, I think earns her the spot over Peter Yan. As much as an MMA purist, I think the Peter Yan fight is incredibly more interesting. It has more ramifications. Bantamweight's a more competitive division. All those are true, but Amanda Nunes has at least earned the co-main event above Peter Yan. I think it would have been insulting to Amanda Nunes to not have her as the co-main event on this fight card.
Nah, you're right. Just put him on another card. Kick him
And
off
that's
this
where I
card.
was going to say, if you look at the next fight night, I probably would have moved Amanda Nunes and put her on the main event for the Leon Edwards Bilal Muhammad fight night, and then had that be the co-main event.
Yeah, because a fight night isn't killing her because she doesn't sell anyway. Plus the pay-per-views model is all screwed up anyway.
So you should use her to get some attention on other fighters on a fight night when people won't buy a pay-per-view for it. It's like, oh, hey, one of our most dominant UFC champs who usually knocks people out. Cool, go watch that on a fight night. By the way, we got some other awesome fighters, which the fight night actually does have some pretty cool fights on it to elevate their stock. So I think the UFC should have moved that one over. And then, yes, had Peter Yan and Aljamain Sterling.
All right. I'll buy
three
it.
championship fights on this UFC fight card is not necessary.
No,
you got
than
Izzy
enough.
on it. Yeah. It's an Izzy fight card. You don't need to throw.
Well, there's also a lot of killer fights on this card. So
yes.
So all of that being said, Amanda Nunes versus Megan Anderson. I'll give my 2 cents first. So Amanda Nunes has had a problem her entire UFC career, and I've seen it every single fight. I have seen hints of it, or I've seen catastrophic failure, like her catastrophic failure. She does not have really good cardio. Never has, hasn't changed it, not going to. The reason why people don't bring it up anymore, or people talk that her cardio problem has gone away, is because she's been so dominant in a single area that she's able to coast. All right. Like, she is so far ahead as far as striking prowess, striking power, or precision than her opponents that, and here's the thing. She's very good at everything. So if you're going against her and your plan is to take her down and you don't have good striking, well, she's going to keep it on the feet, hit you really hard, and now your game plan is shot to shit, and she can coast. She can go in for barrages or just pick you apart with jabs for the entire fight and fight at her pace. So her cardio is good for the pace that she wants to put out. Now, I will tell you, if you go back, if you're listening to this, go back either in your mind or go watch it again, the Germaine de Randamie fight, the second one that was for the title. If you watch that fight, she gets on GDR really early and starts dropping bombs on her, going for the finish, and GDR just doesn't go away. So what happens? Germaine de Randamie starts picking Amanda Nunes apart on the feet because she's a better striker. She just doesn't hit as hard. So what happens? Amanda Nunes gets a little tired. You can tell she's tired. Like, she does not have the same power that she had because she unloaded her gas tank. So what does she do? She goes for takedowns because GDR can't stop him. And then she rides out the rounds on top. Not doing much damage and not trying to finish the fight, but riding out the rounds on top because it's the easiest path to victory. So, and vice versa. When was it Felicia Spencer? Was that her? The Canadian one who went up against her and was like, I'm gonna take her down. Like, okay, well, you didn't, and you got the shit beat out of you. Like, so that's the same thing. Is like, she went for takedowns and wasn't able to get them. So Megan Anderson, being a striker
with great cardio,
with good cardio, I haven't seen her really gas out.
Not great, but good cardio.
She is very tall, like 6'1" or 6. Hold on, Let me look before I say it. But she's very tall. I think she's over 6 foot, not 6 foot.
It might be 6'5" 4'1.5", like just short of 6'1", I think.
Okay, it does say 6 foot. Anyway, when she gets in there, she looks
a solid 6 foot, not
she's
like
really tall. She has a 72-inch reach, which for a woman is abnormal. She has a very long reach. Okay, so if you look at her path to victory, you're like, oh, well, just keep it on the feet and try to knock her out. No. The way I would go about it for her camp, right?
Put her up against the cage.
Put her up against the cage, defend takedowns. Like, at some point, she's going to have to survive a barrage. It's going to happen. And that's not a small feat, right? And that's probably how this fight's going to end. And most likely that's how this fight's going to end, is a barrage. She ends up on the ground and she gets ground and pounded and the fight's over. That's most likely what's going to happen. Or she, gets ground and pounded and then like the easy submission becomes available and Nunes puts her out, right? That's if she can survive. I know it's a big if she can survive the barrage, wait till Nunes, because there's 5 rounds. And we saw it with Valentina Shevchenko, who I honestly and wholeheartedly believe, I've gone back and watched that fight again. She won that second fight at bantamweight for the title. Valentina Shevchenko should be the bantamweight champion. Whatever.
Yep.
Don't at me.
No arguments here.
If you can get Nunes a little tired to where she has to go to her second thing, which is like, well, I didn't knock her out, so it's takedown time. Defend takedowns. Just extend the interactions. Just make her work really hard. Spread your base. Keep the underhooks. Make her work really hard. When she starts to gas, you keep distance and you poke her face to death. You just poke her to death. And it's going to take all 5 rounds to get that win, but you can do it.
I also don't know what Megan Anderson's kicking ability is, but
she's pretty she's good.
Poke her face and then just
I wouldn't
body
kick.
kicks.
Oh, body kicks. It's risky, but still, that's fine. I would go for like a head kick.
Yeah, it's just keeping her distance after she gasses out.
Yeah.
Mixing
all of that being said, I think Amanda Nunes wins this fight 9 times out of 10. Although she did just have a baby. Not her. She didn't give birth. Her wife did. But Nina Ansaroff gave birth. But she now has, she has a baby. So her focus might not completely be on the fight game. So the mental aspect could be slightly off.
And even if not necessarily, emotional mental focus, but also sleep. I don't know.
Yeah, well, just
I don't know if her normal sleeping routine has been interrupted, but that can also have a giant detriment on your cardio capabilities. Yeah.
Any fighter, male or female, having a child, around the house, being a parent is, exhausting. More for one than the other, usually, because one person's doing a lot more work. Right? So
I forgot what the exact percentage reduction was, but essentially, if you get 6 hours of sleep on average versus 8 hours, your cardio capacity goes down by like 20-something%. Like there's a significant decrease. So if her normal sleep patterns have been interrupted, if she's not on average getting as much sleep as she used to be, like that's a potential detriment.
I think she's still going to have the power. She's still going to have the grappling ability. If Anderson can really extend this out, and keep it very technical, don't get in brawls. Like, I think there's a 10% chance that she gets this win. There is a path to victory against Amanda Nunes, but Megan Anderson, like, her weakness has been, she did get picked apart by Holly Holm. Holly Holm Holly Holm out grappled her, I think, too.
That's nothing to be ashamed of, though.
Yeah, but that's the problem is if you're getting out grappled by Holly Holm, like, what do you think Amanda Nunes is going to do to you? That was a long time ago. That was like 3 or 4 years ago now. So, and Megan Anderson has gotten better,
I think Megan Anderson winning would be better for the UFC.
Because Amanda Nunes could move on if she wanted to.
Amanda Nunes could still be a champ.
Oh, yeah. Also, she's bantamweight champ.
Yeah.
Duh.
So having Megan Anderson as a flyweight champ Megan Anderson has a great social media presence. She has strong following. She markets herself very well.
Yeah, she's
I
an
think,
announcer for Invicta.
yeah, like she would be a very good champ to have on the roster if she was able to come out on top.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm picking Nunes. Obviously, I think, like I said, 9 times out of 10, I'm not rooting for either one. I think the featherweight division in the UFC needs to go away. I think they need to really build a strong base before they start filling. Because I'll tell you right now, bantamweight, women's bantamweight in the UFC is thin. Like, it's
Yep.
bad. There's just not enough fighters in the UFC. And
This
the ones
fight should probably just be moved down to bantamweight. If Megan Anderson can make it, that might be a struggle.
She can't. She's too big, dude.
I know. I'm going to be contrarian here, and I'm going to pick Megan Anderson because I know, for one of my wife's favorite fighters. So,
is it because she's got a lot of tattoos?
It's not because she looks like my wife at all. Just full sleeves, over 6 feet.
Yeah.
There's no correlation there.
Yeah, she was on the cover of Inked, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's also really cool. Like, she's funny.
And there is that aspect of at some point someone's going to beat Amanda Nunes as she keeps fighting. There is that path to victory. And I think this might be one of those situations where we get surprised by what happens here.
Yeah, and Anderson can hit hard.
Yeah.
She can hit hard, and Nunes has a chin, but if she gets tired, listen, I'm not rooting for anybody in this fight. I just want to see something interesting. What I don't want to see is Nunes go out there and then wipe the floor with Megan Anderson for 5 rounds or knock her out in 5 seconds. I'm not interested in that crap, especially with the featherweight division the way it is. It's not helping the division to just give Amanda Nunes a fight. At least if you're going to do that crap, put her down at bantamweight where there's an actual division. Stop this.
I wholeheartedly agree.
All right, so bantamweight, we got Peter Yan versus Alderman Sterling. I am rooting for Aljo, and I think he gets it done. I think he has more diverse strikes. Peter Yan is a more pure boxer who also hits very hard. But Sterling is tall. He uses his length really well, keeps the distance. I'm excited for this fight because I think it's one of the highest skilled fights that the UFC has coming up. I think it'd be tough to argue that. I mean, honestly, Aljo versus Corey Sandhagen again might be the most skilled.
This is one of the most interesting championship fights the UFC can put on right now.
Period.
In terms of comparative skill level, how deep that division is.
Yep.
Where the fighters are at their career. This is one of the most interesting championship fights in the UFC right
fantastic. Now. I think it's going to. Obviously, Peter Yan can knock out anybody at bantamweight, so that could happen. But like I said, this one I'm picking with my heart, not my head here. I want Aljo to win because I want to see him versus Sandhagen one more time. I think Aljamain Sterling has also been, he's worked his ass off to get where he is now. He's made incredible improvements in his game, and Peter Yan has fought here. So Peter Yan, he doesn't have the strongest resume, and that's one of the problems I have. Not that he's a champ. It's just
for how deep that division is. Peter Yan, probably got a championship fight before he was in line or deserved one. So
here's Peter Yan's resume after he made it to the UFC. When he started the UFC at 9-1. Okay, so. Teruto Ishihara. Good.
Yeah.
Jinsu Sun. Douglas Silva de Andrade. John Dodson. Decent win. Doesn't mean as much as it used to. Jimmy Rivera. Good win. That's very good.
His most notable win in that division before.
That was a decision.
Yeah.
Okay. Uriah Faber.
That means nothing to me in the past couple of years.
Nope. Jose Aldo. Nope.
And that was for the championship. So really in terms of depth of his career, he was coming off John Dodson, Jimmy Rivera, and Uriah Faber. And two of those names, I mean, at this point in their career, that doesn't carry the same weight that it used to.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying is that's why I'm rooting for Aljamain Sterling, because I believe he has a more legitimate claim to the title. And he's also been in the UFC a lot longer. He came in 11-0. He's Takeo Mizugaki submitted him back. This is back in 2015 when Takeo Mizugaki was really good. Johnny Eduardo lost to Brian Caraway and lost to Rafael Sunsao. Both of them split decisions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Augusto Mendez, Renan Barao. He gets knocked out by Marlon Moraes by that, like it was a kick that turned into a knee because Aldo was coming down, right? Then he beats Brett Johns, Cody Stamann, Jimmy Rivera, Pedro Munoz, and then Corey Sandhagen. Yeah. You're gonna tell me that lineup of freaking killers right there?
And even before losing to Marlon Moraes, beating Renan Barao, that's a.
Yeah, that was after it was like that was after TJ Dillashaw. Yeah,
but even then, Renan Barao is still.
It's still good.
Yeah.
But my point is, I think he has a more legitimate claim to the title shot, period. Like he should have gotten that earlier. It just like this whole thing where, Peter Yan's undefeated in the UFC. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
But, he has
two.
I would say he has like Jose Aldo. Don't get me wrong. Jose Aldo is a good fighter at bantamweight. I just don't think he should have been for the title. So
he was coming off a loss too. I know, controversial loss, but still a loss on record.
Yeah. So what I would argue that he has 2 good wins in the UFC. Like those are good, solid wins for his record, and that's Jimmy Rivera and Jose Aldo. Okay. And that's the thing is like one of those was for the title already. So that's kind of rough.
Yeah.
Whereas Aljamain Sterling has kind of been run through the ringer here, fighting nothing but.
He has proved himself in the division against the division's best. Sometimes coming out on top and sometimes not, which is.
So, I'm excited for this fight. I really want to see it. I think it deserves to be the co-main event. Anyway.
I agree.
So we got Islam Makhachev versus Drew Dober. Drew Dober is on a bit of a tear right now. He's doing really well. Islam Makhachev is supposed to. Let me see. I want to see the rankings, but real quick. Drew Dober is coming off of 3 straight wins. Marco Polo Reyes, Nasrat Hakbarast, which is mini Kelvin Gastelum. He knocked him out, and then he knocked out Alexander Hernandez. Right. And I mean, that might not be the best looking thing right now, but before that, he lost to Beneil Dariush, who's really good, but beat John Tuck, Frank Camacho, Josh Berkman. Like he wins 3, loses 1, wins 2, loses 1, wins 3, wins 4. Like he wins a lot of fights, It's just he can't get enough momentum going at lightweight to move him into like real title contention. So as in Islam Makhachev, let's see. Drew Dober is currently not ranked, right? And Islam Makhachev is ranked number 14. So this is his way into the top 15. Is Islam Makhachev undefeated? I think he's only. I don't know. He's 18-1. I just don't want to look up his record. I'm rooting for Drew Dober. I've liked him for a long time. He's a funny guy.
I feel like
all right.
that one.
Light heavyweight. Holy shit. Thiago Santos versus Alexander Rakic.
I'm excited for this one.
Rakic is a monster, dude. Hits so hard. And
There's
Thiago
basically
Santos,
2 freight trains running into each other.
Thiago Santos coming off of double knee surgery after fighting for the title and arguably beating John Jones. He should have been the champ.
I agree.
Did not happen.
Of the controversial John Jones wins, that was one of my most upsetting for me. I thought. Yeah.
I mean, all 3 of them were bad. They've all been like all 3 of them were bad
for their own reasons.
So Thiago Santos versus Alexander Rakic is really good for the division. They are skilled, relatively young, and they're exciting fighters. So Rakic is ranked number 4 and Santos is ranked number 2. So the winner of this fight should be getting a win, the title shot next. That being said, we are currently in the midst of let's change it out. Let's see if like a middleweight can come up here and win the light heavyweight belt.
Yeah, and relatively, the hard part is Thiago Santos also had the loss to Glover Teixeira right after the John Jones loss, or not right after, but he did have the loss to Glover Teixeira too from rear naked choke.
Wait, did he really? When was that though? I thought he beat somebody else in between.
Nope, he went John Jones loss, and then
he did
back in
lose to
November.
Glover.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. I remember that.
Yeah, it was kind of a short notice. It got like rescheduled
because Glover came in and he was ruining everybody's party. That's what it was.
Yup. And unfortunately, Glover's on like a 5-fight win streak right now, having beat Anthony Smith and Thiago Santos.
Yep. Carl Robertson, Ion Cutelaba, Nikita Krylov, Anthony Smith, Thiago Santos. Yeah, Glover deserves another title shot. Give it to him.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it. Give it to him. I forgot about that. Yep, he deserves a title shot next. That sucks. I mean, not for him. I think that's great. I think that's great for him. He's just like, he has shown no quit, no matter like how bad his body has failed him, as far as like his chin and getting tired and all that stuff.
And at his age, just adapting.
That's what I mean.
Coming back,
just incredible.
Yeah.
All right, I'm super excited for that fight. So maybe the winner of that takes on Dominic Reyes.
I'm not mad at that. Yeah. I don't think Thiago Santos and Dominic
or the loser of the title. Well, no, that's not. It doesn't make sense. So
I would be cool with seeing the winner of this fight Dominic Reyes and then have them take the next fight. Oh, God, stupid Israel Sandra thing.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, what happens if
Glover
takes the winner? If Jan wins, Glover fights Jan. But that doesn't mean that Izzy's going to fight at light heavyweight.
I know.
So now
I kind of hope Izzy doesn't win.
So the winner of this fight fights Dominic Reyes, and then the winner of that fight, I guess. Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, time-wise, that'll work out.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at the prelims. Dominic Cruz is fighting against Casey Kenny.
Interesting.
I just want to see if he still got it.
Yeah.
This is the kind of fight that he should win, and that's what I want to see. Song Yadong. I know that's his name. It's just in English, it's funny. Like I know.
Tyler Phillip.
Well, it's the thing is like, I'm not trying to be insensitive or rude, but in other languages, some names sound funny because they are a funny word in that language.
I bet my name sounds funny in other languages.
That's my point. Like, I wouldn't be mad if somebody laughed at my name in another language because they're like, oh, that means like horse's ass. I'm like, oh, ha ha ha, that's hilarious. So Song Yadong's fighting Kyler Phillips, who looks like Jesus.
Yep. Not street Jesus. Just
no, actual Jesus.
Jesus.
Good grief. Jobin. Oh my goodness. Jobin. So Joseph Benavidez fighting Askar Askarov. Askarov's so weird. Hagerio Bontorin versus Kai Kara France. Oh, Kai Kara France is out of City Kickboxing as well. He's very good. That's going to be fun. I'm really excited. I want to see Dominic Cruz fight again. I love watching him fight. Tim Elliott is fighting on the early prelims versus Jordan Espinosa.
I haven't even looked at
flyweight
yet.
Not bantamweight.
Interesting.
Hold on, we went through. Yeah. See Kennedy and Carlos against a guy who doesn't have a picture.
Two guys with black and white pictures, which is interesting. Charismatic and
yeah,
that's just a random thing to throw in there.
Jake Matthews. Vivian, Otto Souza, Amanda Lemos, that means nothing to me. Mario Batista, Trevin Jones, Aaron Cruz. Nope, that's nothing. So yeah, big takeaways from this card. Really looking forward to seeing.
Could have been broken up a little bit more.
I mean, I am looking forward to the Jan Izzy fight. Don't get me wrong. I'm looking forward to it. I just think.
I'm always excited to see Izzy fight. I just
Yeah,
think
of
this is
course I
unnecessary.
am. It's just gonna ruin so much good stuff. It's just like
I would have rather seen another Izzy middleweight fight, even if the competitor isn't likely to beat him. I think I would have rather seen that.
you know what this is? This is instant gratification.
Yeah,
So it's hopping on a roller coaster to have fun right now when you could have, you know, waited, made sure everything was lined up, gotten a couple wins in your division, cleared out the challengers in your division, built up the myth of each fighter, the undefeated nature, the unbeatable nature of each fighter and what they've become, and then you pit those two unbeatable forces against each other and you sell this amazing fight. But instead what we have is, hey, Izzy wanted to move up to light heavyweight because he wanted to fight John Jones. John Jones wanted to fight him. Well, John Jones left the division. Jan said he's down for whatever. Izzy wants to fight at light heavyweight now. Jan says, okay, cool. After he just won the title, it's like, it's just like, oh, well, we want to see it right now. Why? Like, there's plenty of fights for Izzy still. There's plenty of fights for Jan because he just got the belt. Let them clear out their divisions real quick.
I'm sure Jan is great. Like, I'm sure he has everything he needs skill wise to be a dominant champion. But this isn't John Jones Izzy, which is what people wanted. This is just it's a cheap knockoff.
Yeah, like the John Jones
He's going to get another belt.
Israel Adesanya fight.
He's going to get the other belt without actually fighting who people want to see him fight.
And what happens when he doesn't, right? What do you gain here? Jan beats a bloated middleweight for one fight, and Izzy puts a loss on his record fighting a giant guy that he might never ever fight. He might not ever fight again.
A giant guy that gets no name recognition whatsoever, other than he gets to say he's a 2-belt champ. But no one.
What if he loses though?
I know.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, what does this do for Izzy? I understand that it's a no loss situation. Like it's
not a lot of. The only gain is maybe contract wise, like he gets to throw on, I'm a 2-belt champ. You know, maybe he can leverage some more money from the
maybe
UFC.
he gets more popular now because he's done something that very few people in UFC history have ever done. Although I would argue that some of them shouldn't count, but
yes. Honestly, being a 2-belt champ is not as impressive as it used to be, especially depending on it's all who you fought.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
If you're a 2-belt champ and you just happen to fight a champ that just got there and never really defended or established himself, like you didn't fight a dominant. You don't have two dominant champs fighting each other. It's not the GSP versus, fuck. Why is his name escaping me right now? One of the best middleweights of all time.
Anderson Silva.
And it's not GSP versus Anderson Silva, which everyone wanted for so long.
I still want that fight.
I know. You could probably still make it happen.
I wouldn't mind seeing them fight now. Yeah. I think now at this point, I think GSP wins handily, but
yeah, it's just this isn't that, and it doesn't mean
no. It's just it's not a quick cash grab either because neither one of these fighters is a huge draw. Like Izzy is a bigger draw, and he's working on it. Like
internationally bigger.
Yeah, I'm not trying to shit on him. I think he's a very popular fighter, and he's slowly making his way outside of the fight game to make himself more popular. You know, he's building up his brand, which I hate that word, but whatever. He's doing those things, and he's working on it. So that's great. I'm not trying to put him down. What I'm saying is, like, this isn't a quick cash grab for the UFC. No. Like, they clearly had a plan here. I just don't know what it is. Obviously, they're much smarter than I am. You know, they've ran a business for like 30 years. And, right? 30 years? Yeah,
somewhere around there.
Yeah, so they've been running this business for 30 years and blah, 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 blah. It's just, it means nothing to me watching this guy go up to a new weight class with nothing on the line, essentially, except for the other guy's belt.
Because, the most interesting fight on this card is 3 positions down.
Yes.
Or 2 positions down, yeah.
Here, I got an idea. If you go up to the next weight class and lose the fight for that belt, you should lose your belt. I know it's a hard sell, but hear me out. it makes there consequences for your actions. Like, you don't just go in there and flip around and be an asshole. Obviously, I know this is an extreme example. It's not necessarily going to happen. I'm just saying, like, if I was the lightweight champ, right? And I go up to welterweight. I don't lose anything if I lose this fight. But if I had the consequence of, hey, I lose my belt, I get stripped of my title, my next fight could be for the title, right?
All right. I think I got a way to make this work. You cannot fight for another championship belt until you vacated your own.
Yeah, that's what they used to do.
Yeah, like that should be like, you can't, I know some politicians can, depending on what they run for, but like, you can't run for governor until you vacate your seat in Congress.
Yeah, whatever. I know. Yeah.
You know.
So if you vacate your belt,
you have to vacate your belt in order to take a title fight at another weight class.
Yeah, and then your first fight back at your normal weight class can be for the title. It's totally understandable. Like, there's no reason for you not to, but you can't be. I think this whole
hold up a division.
This whole 2-division champ thing, it's never been done. You can say it all you want, like, oh, DC was a 2. No, he was not. No, he was the heavyweight champ, and then he vacated the light heavyweight one. Amanda Nunes is only able to do it because one of the divisions doesn't exist, and the other division is basically 4 women that they picked up working at the counter at Target, trying to like fight. They're like, I want to do UFC, and they're like, oh, come on, come do UFC. It's like, I know I'm not.
I know it's an exaggeration,
skill set. Amanda Nunes
it's not an established division that is having consistent fights.
No, and they don't have the depth in that division to put on consistent, challenging fights for her, nor do they have enough depth to have like actual title contenders present themselves.
Everyone's in the top 5.
Yeah, exactly. So if you go down to strawweight, that's a fleshed out, very competitive division. Everybody, like, I would argue that everyone in the top 10 is like up there with the skill set of any division in the UFC, and that's just not what I see at bantamweight, and it's definitely not what I see at featherweight. So it's just,
I agree.
I don't want to see like 2-division champs anymore. It's just annoying. Like, it was cool when Conor McGregor did it, and then,
but even then, he also never fought.
No, he had to vacate.
Yeah, he vacated. And
yeah,
he like, had the whole moment of like, where's my other fucking belt type thing. But no, it should be, all right, you vacate, you take the chance. It should be a personal risk to you.
Yes.
And then the other division can move on. And because the other division moved on, we got Max Holloway.
Yes. Thank God.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I really want them to run that back. I know he doesn't want to fight him again, but oh my God, Alexander. What's his last name? Volkanovski. That's what it is. Yep. No need to look it up.
Whether Alexander Volkanovski wants to run it back again or not, well, Max Holloway's not going to give him a choice.
Dude, you can't deny him anymore.
Yeah. After the performance he put on. All right.
That's pretty much it for UFC 259. We never say this. Yeah, like and subscribe. Do all those things, please. If you like what we're doing,
let us know what you like, what you don't like. Any topics you'd like us to discuss. Maybe any other sports you'd like us to discuss. Not that I'm an expert on most sports, but
I mean, if you want us to cover tennis, if you want us to cover ping pong, we could cover pool. We could cover what's another sport people play? I don't know sports.
Badminton.
Damn it! That's what I was gonna say.
Go into it.
I was gonna say badminton. I was just doing racket sports. But yeah, if there's anything else you guys want to see, let us know. If you are listening to this on Spotify or wherever else you get your podcast, like, there is a video up on YouTube, and vice versa. If you're watching this and you just want to take the audio with you and you don't want to pay for YouTube Premium, totally understand. It'll be up on Spotify, Podbean, and wherever else you get your podcast. So do you have anything else?
No. Yeah. Stay safe out there, y'all.
All right, everybody. I hope everyone has an amazing day.